Warning: the following video contains explicit language which may be offensive to some viewers or inappropriate for children. The content within this video is intended for mature audiences only.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, it's Jeff. Oh boy, smoky. Power claws. I don't know when you're wrecking things in the house when I'm sleeping. Jeffrey knows, Kiki, Jeffrey knows. Well, how's everybody doing out there? Hopefully you had some good days there and some nice weather. The weather here has been kind of cloudy, but not very cold. In fact, only it gets cold at night, but during the day it's like in the upper 60s and low 70s. So we're still getting heat here, you know. And everybody's taking their air conditioners out of their window, even me. And now it's like, well, now we want to put them back in. I could put mine back in easy because it's one of them portable ones where all you got to do is put a hose into the window and for the exhaust, and I'm all set. You know, that's all I have to do. But other people, they have to open the window and put a whole unit on the windowsill. You know, and that's not easy because those things are heavy. You know, so but it's been nice, pretty much. And I'm getting my truck ready there for vehicle inspection. Next month. I went and had a inspection done on it at VIP. The reason why I did this now, mind you, is that what I like to do is get somebody who nitpicks a vehicle right to death, okay? And I knew I wasn't going to pass when I took it to VIP, but I wanted to see what they found, which they think won't make it pass, okay? So I had them do a whole examination of the pickup, and they found they found 8 things that they say will definitely not allow the truck to pass inspection. Plus they found 5 other things they said it could be a problem next time, and some other things that, you know, I can either fix it or not, won't matter. So out of the 8 things that they found, I can only find maybe 3 things in there that would probably disqualify it from an inspection if I took it to a place that I know that, you know, does work cheaper than what VIP would charge me, which is why I'm not taking it there to have all these things fixed, because they're going to want to go through the entire list, right? $1,800 if they fix all that stuff. I'm sorry, that's not going to fly with me. I'm not going to pay $1,800 in repairs for a vehicle that's like, what, 17 years old. Okay, you're bound to find some things that are wrong with it. I've seen vehicles on the road that are 10 times worse shape than my pickup, and they're still driving them around on the street. So don't give me the shit about my vehicle not being good for the road, okay? I drive careful, I don't wreck, I don't race, I don't do all that crap. Okay, and I've taken very good care of that truck the best way I can. Okay, I don't have a garage, so I can't get underneath the damn thing and do stuff. Okay, so I do the best that I can, all right? But I don't need to have everything on that list fixed in order to get a sticker there. That's ridiculous. Like I said before, they need to have what you call a state inspector that goes around and inspects vehicles, and that's all they do. Because a state inspector isn't going to have to repair your vehicle after they've inspected it, all right, and make money off of you. If you take it to a garage that has the big yellow sign, okay, They'll inspect it, but they'll also find all kinds of other things that need to be fixed, and they're hoping that you'll take your vehicle there and have them fix it so they can hit you for money you wouldn't believe. That's not fair. That's not fair to the consumer, and it's certainly not fair for the inspector to do that because they can make money off of it. I don't think that's a right way to do things, in my opinion. Speaking of opinions, okay, they had a poll, and I know I don't really like to talk much about polls, okay, but this thing seems to be designed to kind of insult people. This thing here, and I want to kind of correct this, my way. Now, Newsweek had put out an article October the 24th entitled "An Insane Number of Gen Zers Support Hamas's Slaughter of Innocent Israeli Opinion Piece." Okay, op-ed piece, let's call it. And that kind of hit me funny. It's like, who the hell would have the balls to say that, oh, a whole group of people all support that? I mean, that, nobody who deals in absolutes is ever right, okay? And there hasn't been a poll yet that hasn't had its flaws. So I wanted to go through this one. And let me see. How long is this goddamn thing? Okay. All right. Most of it's just comments, but all right. Let me read this, okay? Gen Z is really not okay. As the world continues to process the horrors of the October 7th Hamas terrorist attack on Israel that left 1,300 people dead and thousands more injured, and the horrors of the ensuing war in Gaza, young Americans are coming to vastly different conclusions about the situation than, well, anyone else. A new Harvard-Harris poll asked Americans what they think about the Hamas-Israel conflict, and the results sharply diverged along generational lines. Overall, Americans overwhelmingly support Israel over Hamas. A whopping 84% of respondents told pollsters they favored Israel, while just 16% favored Hamas. Among older Americans over 65, an astounding 95% support Israel, and just 5% said their sympathies lie with Hamas. But among young people aged 18 to 24, things look quite differently. Well, wouldn't it be 18 to 24? I mean, that's the generation where they think they know everything, okay? I mean, who wouldn't expect them to, to understand everything? They ain't been around long enough to understand. But yet they're gonna label a whole generation as being, whoa, they're insane. Just 52% of this group said they supported Israel, while 48% said they supported Hamas. Yes, that's right. Nearly half of young respondents said they side with the terrorist group that just earlier this month purposefully targeted and slaughtered innocent civilians, including women, children, and infants, in a chilling and sadistic manner. You hope for the sake of the future of our country that these young people are somehow supporting Hamas despite the group's violent actions, but you'd be wrong. In an even more shocking finding, the Harvard-Harris poll revealed that 51% of 18 to 24-year-olds said Hamas's violence against Israel civilians was justified, while just 49% didn't think so. Here's where things get strange. In the same poll, 62% of young respondents agree that what Hamas did to Israel was genocidal. So a hefty chunk of young people in this country believe that genocide against Israel's civilians is justified. It should go without saying, but apparently it doesn't, that no matter how much one sympathizes with the plight of Palestinian people, it is still wrong to slaughter concert goers and burn their bodies. It is still wrong to kill entire families huddled in their bomb shelters, and it is still wrong to murder babies. All human life is precious, while civilians inevitably are inadvertently killed as a consequence of war. Purposefully targeting them is universally considered a war crime. It's never morally acceptable to intentionally kill innocent people, no matter who does it. The fact that so many young Americans' moral compass are so distorted that they no longer understand this basic truth, it's deeply disturbing. It also raises an important question: how the hell did we get here? This is not normal. Such a moral perversion is not an organic belief that naturally emerges among decent people. On the contrary, it's in large part the consequence of a corrosive and malevolent social justice ideology that's being spoon-fed to young Americans on college campuses. In this depraved worldview, which Elon Musk has dubbed the woke mind virus, the world is divided into two groups of people, oppressors and oppressed. Black people, for example, are oppressed in America, so under this lens, black Americans cannot be racist. They can only be victims of racism. Meanwhile, misgendering someone is violence, even though it doesn't actually involve any violence. Actual violence in response to this speech is justified as self-defense. Truth, and therefore morality, is subjective in this worldview, hence the normalization of the innocuous sounding but actually Orwellian phrase, quote unquote, my truth, your truth, or his truth. This hierarchy obsessed perspective does not actually describe reality. In the real world, there are shades of gray. People can be both oppressed in some ways and oppressing in others. Just ask gay people how they're faring in Gaza. The truth is that almost no one in human history has been 100% good or 100% bad, 100% victim or 100% villain. The quote-unquote social justice narrative in its black and white worldview is actually the inverse of the old. Regressive worldview is supposedly rose up to eradicate that similarly erroneously drew absolutist distinctions between groups of people based on their membership in immutable categories. Rather than reject both extremes, some subscribers to a moral social justice ideology have become the mirror image of what they hate. And that's how you end up in the perverse situation where so many of your adherents can view the genocide of Jews as justified. In their telling, Jews are privileged and the Palestinians are oppressed. For some entrapped by this hollow thinking, the analysis generally stops there. Just look at the Black Lives Matter chapter that responded to October 7 attacks by showing solidarity with the Palestinians, not Israel, and even positively depicting the hang gliders that were used by Hamas terrorists to kill civilians. All politics aside, such a bizarre and tone-deaf statement only emerges from an organization that has substituted the woke mind virus for irrational thinking. Young people have absorbed this kind of perverse messaging from the cultural and institutional forces they look to. They're told the slaughter of civilians is actually freedom fighting by a resistance seeking to cast off the shackles of its oppressors, and who are young, white, affluent Americans who have been told for years how privileged they are and how incapable that renders them to perceive the world, to question the truth of an oppressed people. That's how we end up with half of young people nodding along to genocide. It's the radical result of years of miseducation in an ideology that's as morally bankrupt as the old bigotry it rose up to replace. Okay, lot of shit there, okay, to absorb. But it overlooks one factor. This poll was taken after Israel had shut off electricity, cut off the water, cut off food to the Palestinians, okay? You know, trying to hurt Hamas, they just bludgeoningly affected everybody, okay? It didn't matter who the hell was going to be affected. They just did it. Everybody suffered over there. Remember how people were over there crying because they were starving and everything? And the Jewish people didn't give a shit when they were being asked about, why are you doing, why are you hurting civilians? And they say, well, look what they did to us, okay? It's an eye for an eye mentality that's going on, okay, on both sides. I'm not going to say it was just the Jewish people. It was going on both sides. This genocidal ideology that they have over there to kill each other, all right? They don't care. They don't care if it's Hamas people or innocent people and living over there under the Hamas's thumb that are being affected. They don't care. Okay, it was because they killed, so many people over here. They killed all these babies and stuff, and we're going to do it to them. What they did to us. Well, when you do something like that, which side is being the person taking the moral high ground here? How can you blame anybody for having emotion about people being starved out of their residence? That's what these people were answering in that poll. Not so much the fact that they support terrorism, but that they supported people trying to save themselves from being starved, their children starving, not having electricity, no lights, no nothing. You know, no water even. I mean, Christ, how long can a person live without water in a place like that, you know? So what I'm saying is that when this poll was taken, there was a lot of sympathy building in this country for the Palestinians, for what Israel was doing to them. They didn't like what happened to the people to the innocent people in Israel. Okay, they didn't like that, but they certainly didn't like the response that Israel had initiated against the Palestinians, the Gaza Strip. You know what I'm saying? They didn't have any fucking like about that, and that showed up in the polling numbers. Okay, and that pissed somebody off here who writes this article. They were looking at it saying, "Oh, Americans are supporting terrorism." No, they're supporting, you know, people fighting back to gain what's theirs. For example, the Nazi occupation of Europe. Okay, countries over there that were occupied had small resistance cells. We all know this. Okay, it's part of the goddamn history books. Would we tell those people today, you don't have any right to resist them? You know, you shouldn't resist them. You shouldn't try to fight back. Of course not. Why? Because the reason that they were overthrown had nothing to do with politics. It was about one man's desire to control the world. It was based on bullshit. He didn't have the right to conquer these other countries. All right? The Nazis, they didn't have any right to that. Okay, so that's what made it wrong for them to do that, and why it was right for there to be terrorist attacks against that. Same to here, January the 6th. Why was it wrong for these people to have strike the Capitol that day? Because it was based on no facts. They thought that an election was cheated out of Trump, okay? They thought Trump lost the election, you know, because they cheated. No. And then they believed it so much, they rose up and they did a strike on the Capitol, okay? Terrorists, domestic terrorism. That was wrong because it was based in no facts. There was no basis for it. And even to this day, there's still nothing there. People are being thrown in jail now because of that. Because they were lied and lied and lied, you know. And that's the reason why that was wrong. Okay, now, the people in, the Palestinians fighting back against Israel, okay, or Hamas, because their food, their water, their electricity was cut off, okay? They were supplying them power. They shut that off to hurt them. They were wrong to try and protest or fight back to get that, you know, because they were starving, they were hungry. That they were wrong? Of course not. All right? Now, yes, Hamas started the goddamn thing by launching all those rockets into Israel. Okay, I get that. Israel had a right to respond. What they did, the response was not in equal proportion to what happened to them. What they did was respond by deliberately hurting innocent people. They knew Hamas didn't give a shit about them. Okay, so attacking the innocent people was like, you know, somebody coming over and flicking boogers off my shoulder or something like that. They didn't give a shit about them. They aren't, you know, if they're not with Hamas, if they're not fighting with Hamas, then they're nobody. They're just shields for the bullets. That's what they think of the Palestinians over there, okay? And unfortunately, that's the kind of government they have over them is Hamas, okay? They run that fucking area. And so that's the reason why that was wrong, what they did, and why people in America felt that they should support not Hamas per se, but the innocent people, the Palestinians, supporting them. And if Hamas is attacking Israel in response to that, then how are they not going to want to support that? Because they didn't think Israel was right in doing what they did. Okay, everybody from the beginning was surprised as all merry hell that Israel was doing this to those people over there by trying to starve them out of their areas. They couldn't believe it. They were asking everybody, even the damn war Jones, you think this is the right thing to do? And they were looking at the reporter like, well, what the hell's the matter with you? You know, like they had 6 heads. You know, to them, this wasn't something to be worried about. It only matters if it affects Jewish people, but if it's them, we don't care. You know, and if they can devalue life the way they do, where they would take action like this and support it, then what the hell do you think they're like on the other side. Okay, that's why this is a generational, or not general, but a genocidal war, is because neither side cares about the other. Neither side cares about the innocents, the children, and all them on the other side. They don't care. Collateral damage is good damage in both their eyes. Okay, but you can't expect Americans not to have any emotion about that when we see what's happening. So when they took this goddamn poll, they took it after that, at the point when they were doing this to the people in Palestine. Okay, they were doing that to them. And who the hell's not going to look at, crying kids and stuff that are hungry and have no water, and things are getting out of control? Who isn't going to care in this country about that? I ask you. It doesn't matter to us, because look, we look at this war over there as both sides have failed. Okay, I don't take a side, and a lot of people in this country aren't taking a side. Okay, they might want to side with Jerusalem because we've always sided with them. I mean, the Jewish people, we always sided with them, but we didn't always agree with how they dealt with matters in their country, how they dealt with violence and war and stuff over there, and how, whenever there was a peace plan, one side or the other would disrupt it and destroy it, and it would go right back to where it was, because they could never get their own citizens on board with things for peace. Okay, so it's been a constant thorn in the world's side, that area of the world. And it's so the longer it goes on, the less likely people are going to be able to support Israel or what they do. Okay, they certainly don't like the leadership in Israel right now, Netanyahu. I mean, there's very few people in Israel that even like Netanyahu, and there's very few people here in this country that like Netanyahu. So when you factor all that in there too, it's not a wonder you're going to get some people in this country who are going to support Hamas, okay, and what they're doing. You like I said, it's just you factor in the fact that Israel was starving people out, and then you got a leader over there that's under they were trying to kick him out, basically, because and he was stacking the court in his favor so that way he could get away with his bullshit over there. But he was like Donald Trump. He's like Donald Trump to those people, and they don't like him over there. He's got a very low approval number. It's probably gone up a little bit since this war started, but he got a very low approval number. All right, so yeah, for a while there's been a lot of hatred about Netanyahu, and it's made its effect in this country. Okay, it's affected a lot of people in the way they think, but to expect that young people are going to understand the the details of what goes on inside the political structure of Hamas and Israel and all that, they ain't been around long enough to know that. They just graduated high school, for Christ's sake. Well, I mean, they haven't read enough history about these things, and history is a subject that Republicans don't want anybody to even have. Okay, they don't want anyone to read it. And so you got a lot of kids in there that probably don't give a shit much about history, because they watch the news and they see that, what history in this taught in our classroom, so they figure, history is no good a subject. We don't need to learn it because people don't like it, So, like I said, it was expected that you'd have a sliver of the youth in this country who are going to support Hamas. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean, our country's falling to hell in a hand. It's not because of that. Our country's going to hell in a handbasket because of the way we select our leaders, and the choices that we put in front of us to pick, who the leader's going to be. That's how we destroy the country. But terrorism, on the surface, as it is, you can't say I don't support terrorism of any kind. Okay, you're being terribly naive if you think that way, because you're basically saying to history at all the times when terrorism was used that you were wrong. And when you go back in history and you read about the times terrorism was used, not every time was it for a bad thing. It always, sometimes it ended up creating a better world that people lived in, because they fought the only way they had. All that they had at their fingertips, the only tools that they had was primitive, desperate, ways of trying to make a point. Especially during the Roman times, there was terrorism even then. against oppression in that world. Okay, so you can't just say terrorism thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, just like life has got shades of gray, terrorism is just as much, different shades of gray. Okay, it can be used as a tactic, whether you agree with it or not, and depending on what it's about and what it's for, the terrorism can be for a good cause or a bad cause. That's up for people to decide for themselves on where they stand. Okay, that's why we could say January 6th was wrong, because it was based in lies. Okay, there was these people were fooled into thinking that they were doing the right thing, and they weren't. That's why we know that was wrong. 9/11, a lot of us can't decide whether we deserve that or not, because it was something that was dealing with the Middle East, and we've had a lot of interaction with the Middle East. A lot of it not known to us. A lot of it doesn't come out until scandal breaks somewhere in Washington, and things come out a little bit about deals made with, leaderships over there, Saudi Arabia and stuff like that. So there's still a lot of mystery around that day. So we can't. We're pissed that it happened to us, but there's people that try to be objective about it and try to figure out, well, what caused it? Was it something we did? Okay, and if it is, why can't we find out about it? What are they holding this from us? You know what I'm saying? So we can't really say it was bad that it happened to us and innocent people died, but, and that's the part where people get pissed, is the but, the but, because we don't have all the answers to that day. We don't have it. We still don't have it, and unfortunately, it may be like the JFK assassination, like we've done it. Okay, we'll never really know. Okay, we know it was a conspiracy, but who was involved in it, we'll never know. A lot of people have died since then, so we'll probably never know the answer to that. So, anyway, let's go to commercial break. We'll return.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Seen one white supremacist. There's a boogeyman of white supremacy, which I don't think anyone can see.
A white nationalist is racist, Senator.
Well, that's your opinion.
If Democrats want to say that white nationalists are racist, I'm totally against that too.
Stop calling Tommy Tuberville a racist simply because he talked about having white skin and being a nationalist.
My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve.
Diversity absolutely means anti-white.
Chick-fil-A, I'm hesitant to make a fried chicken joke, but they sell fried chicken. I don't know how much more inclusive we can get here.
The State Board of Education just approved new rules for how to teach Black history in public schools.
How slaves developed skills which, in some instances, could be applied for their personal benefit.
This is well documented among historians. This is historical fact that slaves did develop skills while they were enslaved.
They're probably going to show some of the folks that eventually parlayed
being a blacksmith into doing things later in life.
Right? I mean, you compare black guys to black guys, women to other women. You can't compare Soros to another Jewish guy.
The Soros-backed prosecutors, Soros DA.
Soros prosecutor.
His master, George Soros.
Mr. Soros.
George Soros.
Soros-funded DAs.
You sit down and think about all the anti-Semitism, so-called, not real, so-called.
You had to survive in a concentration camp by having skills. You had to be useful.
The people who are opposed to me are Ashkenazi Jews and Chinese.
This guy has a right to say whatever he wants to say, and it's not anymore, if you don't agree with me, you can't say it. That is not America.
Oh, of course the Jews run Hollywood.
Hello YouTube, it's me Ted Cruz, here to tell you about a revolutionary new health supplement that helps you lose weight and build muscle. Introducing Trump's Tiny White Balls, the powerful new dietary aid made by Republicans for Republicans.
I find Trump's Tiny White Balls to be absolutely delicious, and this weight loss candy is pretty good too.
Trump's Tiny White Balls are designed to be licked and or sucked slowly to ensure timed release delivery of the powerful protein and enzymes located at each ball's core.
This delectable confection is made from only the finest white chocolate made in America. No inferior brown or black chocolate is allowed in this time-tested all-white recipe.
Once you suck your way down to the creamy center of Trump's Tiny White Balls, you activate the patented power-packed filling, made from a proprietary blend of plants, twigs, roots, and lizard semen.
Donald and I may not agree on everything, but I still enjoy the taste of his balls. However, I do find them a little firm and crusty for my old 127-year-old teeth. So what I do is, I roll Trump's 2 tiny white balls around in my hand until they get moist and pliable. Once they're soft enough, I pop the former president's balls into my mouth and enjoy that creamy blast of Trump's rich protein. Yum, yum, yummy, yum, yum.
Personally, I like to lick Trump's Tiny White Balls, much the same way I did as a kid with a Tootsie Pop. It's more fun than driving drunk into a rock wall.
I've been obsessed with Trump's Tiny White Balls ever since my drag queen days.
It's a brand new product, George.
I'm fully aware of that.
The claims that this product helps you lose weight and gain muscle are just plain ridiculous. I mean, come on. I licked Trump's balls for over a year and I'm just the same amount of doughy as I've always been.
That is absolutely true.
Just look at this picture of me at the pool, for God's sake. I've got man boobs.
You can barely get your go-go boots on.
Really, Casey? At least I don't draw my eyebrows on with a Sharpie.
Hey now, is someone being a little bitch?
For God's sake, you look like an angry bird.
Most people have a preferred method to consume this groundbreaking new health supplement. I, for example, like to put 2 of Trump's balls in my mouth at the same time, then I sort of swish them around for a bit.
So essentially what you're saying is that you like to gargle Trump's balls.
Yes, I gargle Trump's Tiny White Balls as a way to break down the crusty outer shell.
Hello, it's me, Candace Owens, here on the set of my hardly watched online show, Black People Behaving Badly. Clearly, too few African Americans enjoy sucking on Trump's tiny white balls as much as I do. Perhaps it's because they're too busy abandoning their children and faking their own kidnapping.
When I'm facing a long day on the Senate floor, I like to fill my throat pouch with Trump's balls. That way I can skip lunch and devote even more time to destroying democracy as we know it.
I may have hit my head, but I didn't hit it that hard.
In addition to Trump's tiny white balls being packed with protein, each 2-ounce serving also contains more fiber than 5 pages of top-secret government documents.
I'm not just the owner of Trump's Tiny White Balls, I'm also a customer. Here I am before using this great product, and this is me after sucking my own tiny white balls. Here's another before. And just take a look at this after. Once again, this is before, and now check out the after. Not bad, right? This before really shows how far I'd let myself go, and this after proves just what's possible when you suck my tiny white balls.
Side effects may include blood clotting, constipation, skin rash, racism, memory loss, diarrhea, dizziness, anal warts, drowsiness, stupidity, dry mouth, shingles, intolerant headache, insomnia, bigotry, acne, nausea, hatred, delusional thinking, hallucinations, hearing loss, impaired motor function, dry skin, vomiting, more diarrhea, cancer, slurred speech, uncontrolled flatulence, maniacal thoughts, rickets, hemorrhoids, hair loss, high fatigue, more diarrhea, and premature death.
Thanks for watching Scared Ketchup's second MAGA-mercial, Trump's Tiny White Balls. If you like that one, be sure to check out the first in the series too. A fun ad for a terrific Republicans-only laxative called Imopium PM, now playing only on Scared Ketchup's YouTube channel. And don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more of Scared Ketchup's wacky brand of all MAGA, all the time comedy content. Because if you don't, you'll be hearing...
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it. It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
Welcome back, everybody. Okay, to kind of highlight more on the sorts of, how can I say this? The mentality of what motivates or what's driving this fight, this war over in the Middle East here. There's an article that came out in the Jerusalem Post, okay? And because it comes from the Jerusalem Post, I mean, it's a possibility. I'm not going to say it's definite, but it's a possibility. You know, the details of the story could have been exaggerated in some spots. I don't know. Okay, I'm just going to let you decide that for yourself, okay? I'm not right or wrong about this, okay? I'm just saying that in my head, there's a possibility. The hell? All right. The IDF recovered on Tuesday a phone call in which a Hamas terrorist called his parents to boast of the amount of Jews he killed during the massacre of civilians in southern Israel on October the 7th. The phone call initiated by the terrorist was taken from the phone of a murdered Israeli woman, which was recovered by Israel security forces some 2 weeks after the massacre. Quote, "Hi, Dad. I am speaking to you from Mifalzim," unquote, the Hamas terrorist is heard saying. Continued, quote, "Open your WhatsApp and look at all the killed Israels. Look at how many I killed with my own hands. Your son killed Jews." Terrorist live streamed horrors of massacre to Gazan parents. Quote, "Dad, I am speaking to you from a Jew's phone. I killed her and her husband. I killed 10 with my own hands," unquote, the terrorist excitedly told his Gazan parents. The father can be heard crying with joy as the terrorist expressed his intent to do a video call so his dad could see the extent of the massacre committed by his son, a member of Hamas's Nukaba forces. Quote, "May God protect you, my son," unquote, his father said as the mother told the terrorist. Quote, "I wish I was there with you," unquote, as her son is heard shouting directions at fellow terrorists to kill, 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 kill them. Okay. Let's see. Quote, "I was the first to enter under the guidance and with the help of Allah," unquote, he added. The full transcript of the recorded phone conversation is available below. Okay, so in the article they have the transcript of the back and forth here. It's a little bit long, but if you want to read it, like I said, it's at the Jerusalem Post. And the title of it is, "Listen, your son killed 10 Jews, Hamas terrorist tells Gazan parents." What does that tell you? It tells you that what was going on over there, and I think this was right after, you know, Israel shut off electricity, water, the food, that, you know, his parents were basically without any electricity. They weren't getting any food or water, and they're angry as hell. And so they get a phone call from their son saying that, "Hey, look what I did." Yeah, of course they're going to be elated because they're mad. They can't do anything about it, but their son is fighting for them. And of course they're going to look at him as him avenging what's happening to them. Okay, what parent is not going to be at least some grateful that, you know, hey, we're doing something to try to stop this, undo this. Okay, yes, he's a member of Hamas's forces. Okay, but at the same time, Israel's not making any allies by cutting off all these necessities to the innocent people over there. They should be isolating their attacks to simple Hamas quarters, you know, their bases and wherever they may be, not blanket barraging everything over there on the other side of the wall. I mean, you can't do that in a war like this, because, you know, the the population is so compact. You got the innocent mixed in with the fucking the criminals, okay, the terrorists. So you have to do precision strikes. You can't just blanket bomb an area and expect that you're only going to hit Hamas. Okay, you're going to hit innocent people too. You can't cut off the food and water and all that and expect that it's only going to hurt Hamas and not affect everybody else on there. Okay, that's not the way you fight something like this. When you're fighting terrorism, you have to be surgical. Okay, you have to fight on intelligence that you get. And apparently their intelligence over there sucks, or they don't use it, because, you know, it doesn't matter to them where the bombs end up or where the bullets end up, as long as it's somebody on that side of the fucking the wall that dies. Hey, that's good news for the Israel people, right? They don't care. They dish back exactly what they get. So that doesn't make them any better in many people's eyes in this country than the oppressors. You know, how can you fault anybody for thinking that way? Because over here we don't live like that. Over here we, you know, we understand about there's good and there's bad in everybody, and then we don't want to kill the good with the bad when we try to do things. We don't like doing that here in this country. That's why so many people were protesting the Gulf War when we went into Iraq, and we was over there, you know, wrecking innocent people's lives and all that. I mean, there was a lot of people over there that didn't deserve to get shot and killed or crushed over there. It was just Saddam Hussein and his regime we were supposed to try to take out. Instead, we were hitting everything else around them. Okay, and you know, what happened was a travesty, and what we did was criminal in a way. You know, I guess, I mean, yeah, we were responding on intelligence that really wasn't there, that they had weapons of mass destructions, but, you know, we went anyway and attacked them without really any provocation, because we didn't want to, you know, listen to the people on the people on the ground who were there and said they ain't got it. No, we were too interested in just pointing the barrel at somebody and pulling the trigger over here. And so, yeah. That's what I'm talking about, is that what's going on in Israel is the same thing that we were going through over here. Okay, these people don't care about where the barrel's pointed, as long as it's pointed at somebody that's on the other side. You know, take them out. And that's why I say, you know, when you do shit like that, and then all of a sudden you're seeing resistance popping up in places. People are trying to fight back because you're taking away things from them that, you know, rightly you don't have the right to take away. You know, they're very basis for life, how, you know, food and water. You know, you're taking away all that from them. That's wrong. You know, why make the kids suffer? You know, so when you hear this this article and they spell out in a transcript what was said back and forth. You can look at it as all these people are bloodthirsty criminals, okay? Or you can also look at it as saying, well, this is people fighting to keep what's theirs, okay? This kid was in Hamas. The parents weren't, okay? But they support their kid. It's their son, for Christ's sake. I mean, you know, what are you going to do? You're going to turn your back on your kid? He's calling him and telling him, I'm fighting for you. I just killed a bunch of Jews over here, okay? And, you know, even though we all know here in our clear mind that what's being done is wrong, okay, that the kid's being manipulated by Hamas to do what he's doing and making him think that it's right, okay, we also know that there's a bit of camaraderie there in the family, that I'm fighting for you, you know, because they're the enemy. There's not a kid in the service at that age who's not going to be doing the same thing. If we were invaded in this country by a foreign power, there's not a kid that would be that would feel like he's fighting for his family, being sent into battle to go after the enemy. Okay, and that's what this kid here feels like. He feels like he's getting even with them for what they're doing to his parents. Okay, but you know, you can look at it that way, or you can just say the kid's bloodthirsty. You know, he's evil and all this and that. Well, okay, that's like calling all black people criminals. Okay, if you're not gonna take the time to learn about the shades of gray in life, then don't say anything. Hamas by itself is bad, okay? They don't want to talk to settle their differences. They simply want to kill. And they treat their people like dirt, okay? They're a bad regime. They're a bad government over there. But the people are oppressed. They can't get rid of them. So what are they going to do? Okay? What are they going to fucking do? Hamas has a stranglehold on the Palestinians. And whenever Israel does something that hurts innocent Palestinians, they look to Hamas to avenge them. You see what I'm saying? That's the kind of thing that's going on over there. And so that's why I say you have to read between the lines. These reporters make everything so generalized when they report the news over there. Okay, because they're not given the time to really explain to the reader, you know, what I've just told you here. They don't take that time to try to make you understand why these things are being said, why this kid was telling his parents that, why this was happening. Okay, they were hoping the reader has the intelligence enough to be able to pull examples from history to be able to understand why this is being said. And then they turn around and they poll people for their understanding, and they find that, oh my God, the young people are so stupid. You know, we're shocking. And they forget that young people at that age, between 18 and 25, are people walking around thinking they know everything. You know, and the funny thing is they don't. Okay, they haven't lived enough of a life yet to really understand, you know, that there's a million things in this world here that's wrong, and we can only fix so many of them. Okay, we can't make a perfect world because not everybody's perfect, and you know, everybody has their own agenda. Everybody has an idea of a perfect world, you know, and it conflicts with each other. When that person wants his perfect world to become reality, as opposed to the other person wanting his perfect world to come to a reality, you have that happening. Okay. And it ends up in fights and stuff. And you know what I'm saying? You have a lot of different views in this world, a lot of different mentalities and levels of intelligence, all living together in this world. And the thing that often gets missed is that the only way you can deal with each other is through discussion, understanding, compromise, and finally reach an agreement. Okay, because nobody can control everything. I mean, you've got to share everything you share in this world. I mean, it's like when the astronauts, they tell you about what the world looks like when they're in space. There's no borders. Okay, you can't see where the different things are. You know, the different religions and all that shit. You know, we're basically tribes on lands, basically. You know, and in our minds we have the borders. But there is no borders. It's manufactured by us and our maps that we draw and stuff like that. But we're all just tribes living on parts of the world, okay? And when you look at it that way, you also have to understand that these tribes have to get along. Because we all share the world. We're all living on the same planet. So you can't just bully everybody, you know. What right do you have to say your views are the correct ones and this person's isn't, or these people's isn't? Okay, you know, you just don't have that right. Sometimes you just have to go meekly into the corner and bite your tongue. Okay, if nobody wants to hear it, and you can think what you want with that. Some people refuse to go meekly into the corner. They'll just, you know, do whatever they can. You know, like the Trumplicans, to lie, cheat, beat people over the head. You know, bully them. To do anything so they can get their way. Even though they know at the end of the day it's not going to be popular, they're still going to have to fight with folks to keep what they stole, okay? And they're never going to have any peace at all over the fact that they stole, you know, they robbed people of what they wanted, okay? They're never going to understand that whatever you take by force, you're going to have to keep with force, because nobody's ever going to be happy with it. Okay, but when you take with peace what you want, okay, you'll have peace as long as you keep the doors of communication open so that people can feel like they could, speak their mind. Okay? But the way things are today, nobody wants that door of peace open. They just want to bludgeon the other side into submission, or just eradicate the opposition altogether, so that way they can have their way by default. And that's the kind of world that exists in parts of our planet, okay, unfortunately. And, the United States tries to get involved in there by trying to be the intermediary that brings both sides to the table. They can't do that now while the fighting is going on, but, there couldn't be a ceasefire negotiated. There can be something done to bring this to an end, and we shouldn't not try. But like I said, the point is that, there has to be an understanding, and that's been lost over there through all this, is that the will to talk, to compromise is gone. These people have gone through all that, but whether or not both sides were committed to peace and all that, that's, only the people living there will really understand whether they did or not, okay? Only the people living in that region of the world will know to what extent they were committed to peace, if they ever were. And I just, like I said, with this phone call, you can see that things were handed down. I mean, the guy's too damn young to be saying stuff like that if it wasn't handed down to him from his parents or something like that. So this is hatred that was inherited by word of mouth, not inherited by experience. Okay, he didn't experience all these things that his parents went through, but he was taught to hate him. And he gets his approval from his parents when he tells them that he killed these people. And what kid doesn't try to get approval from his parents or her parents? Depending on what kind of people you are, you're going to try to get that approval in some fashion that your parents are going to like. And since the parents don't like Israel, the kid is going to try to seek approval from his parents by killing Jewish people. That right there, I would say, is not a religious thing, but basically a human thing. It's not based in religion. It's just based on children trying to be loved by their parents by doing exactly what he thinks or she thinks they want him to do or her to do. So the call is sad, scary, and it shows that there's a deep, deep, deep scar in that region of the world that may never get healed. It may never get healed, I'm afraid to say. And it wouldn't be beyond anyone's expectation that the last war ever fought would be fought there. And okay, because, there's, for people even centuries ago to think there would be peace there, they knew it wouldn't happen. Okay, there's been fighting over there, thousands of years. And so it's a hotbed of blood and everything. And if there's going to be any final war ever fought on this planet, it's probably going to be there. So that's why, people, they read like Nostradamus and stuff like that. And even these people who claim to be soothsayers probably were smart enough to realize even then that part of the world is a hotbed of just fighting and killing, because it was going on even then. And they probably never saw a period of peace there either. So yeah, it would probably be easy to predict that, but like I said, when I saw this article, and it, like I said, it was written on the Jerusalem Post. And, look, I'm not going to say that this could be just all propaganda. I'm going to say that, each side, Hamas and Israel, they all have a reason to get people to side with them, okay? They need to have allies in these things. And, if they're going to publish something that's going to be read by Americans, of course, they're going to want to make make it look like the other side is the real devil here. And if this phone call was real, okay, then it only shows that what that phone call was a sneak peek into humanity in that part of the world, where you have the youth being misguided and looking for approval for doing some of the worst things imaginable, okay? Which I think in some cases probably occurred even in Nazi Germany at the time. When you think about the killing of the Jews on Auschwitz and stuff like that, a lot of them probably did the same thing for the same reason. They wanted to get approval from their families. That, hey, look at all the Jews that I killed today. They probably did the same damn thing. So like I said, it doesn't say that, oh my God, these people are devils and shit like that. It's just saying that there are people that are misguided, probably the same people in Jerusalem or in Israel that are misguided. Young people over there misguided doing what they're doing, and they're being led to do these things, thinking that what they're doing is right because they're trained to think that what they're doing is right. Okay, they're not allowed to think, even like in our service, you're not allowed to sympathize with the person that you're fighting. Okay, you can't. You have to have that killing spirit until the fight is over. Okay, they need you to fight with everything you got. They need you to put your doubt and your ethics aside and pick up that gun and shoot. Okay, some people, it's like, well, even after you're done shooting, okay, let's rape and pillage, and it goes even further. That depends on the person, but that's what they want. They don't want you to be a person that's an ambassador thinker. You know what I'm saying? They don't want that. Okay, they can't do anything with you if you're going to hesitate every time every time you're out on the battlefield. They can't. They don't. There's nothing they can do for you because you'll be the first body bag they bring back because you hesitated. So. So anyway, I'm going all over the map here with this, but like I said, when you read stuff like this, you got to understand it's not as black and white as they try to portray this to you. There is something there of humanity that's being displayed there, and you have to understand where it's coming from and why it's there, and know that even though we can't see ourselves being that way, it wouldn't be very far-fetched to be in a position where we could end up being like that. Okay, when you're trying to fight for your very survival and you're trying to fight to keep what you have in fear and stuff like that, it drives us to do some of the most heinous things you could possibly imagine. Okay, even stupidity would allow it to happen. So unless you're a person that has a line that you'll never cross, you're probably going to cross lines you never knew were there. In a battle like that, and people on the outside can just be judgmental about it, but they're looking at us like, well, you guys are living a perfect life. You live up in the United States of America. Everything is, you people have everything at your fingertips over there. We don't have that here, okay, and we never will. And we want that, and we're going to fight to our death about that, and hate them as much as we can, so that way it makes it easier for us to kill them and do all these things to them, and that's what they're doing. Whether that's a conscious choice they make, I don't know. Maybe in most cases it's not. It's probably just from rage and anger from what happened to them at some point in their life, and maybe some cases it is a conscious choice. I don't know. Okay, so enough preaching on that, and hope everybody has a great rest of the week. And please comment, subscribe, and get your shots. I got my COVID and my flu shot all in the same day, and I was sick for 2 days after that. And I don't know which gave me the side effect first, or if it was both of them that gave me the side effect. But I had a horrible flu for 2 days, and then it just disappeared. On the third day, I was feeling better, just like that. So I didn't like the symptoms, but once they were gone, I was like, okay, so now I got those things taken care of, okay? So that's the first time I got a side effect from getting a COVID shot and the flu shot. I got one on the other. My arms are sore. They were. They're not now. But they were. They were like, Jesus, someone like beating my arm or something. But anyway, I got those shots, and so I'm okay. Please, you know, everybody, when you're out there, be nice to everybody that you kind of come across, even if sometimes people seem to be mean-spirited all the time. If you can avoid them, fine. If you can't and you have to deal with them, be gentle, tiptoe around them, and just don't say anything you think is going to start them into a fight. The best thing to do is just, you know, agree with them, you know, and then walk away. You know, it's sort of like the way married couples are that have been married for a long time. They just, you know, yes, dear, and then they go away. You know, it helps. So take care, everybody. Well, I'll talk to you again later. Bye-bye.